Hey, before I start ranting about things that I absolutely cannot control or change yet again, I just want to say that all of you, and I mean every single person within the sound of my voice, I want you to be okay. And I want you to make sure somebody else out there is okay, especially this time of year, especially with the hellscape that these past 3 years have been. Take care of yourselves. Take care of somebody else too. Now, better to make a good future than predict a bad one. And then the sentence before that, of course, was um, make the kind of prediction that will alter human emotions and reactions in such a way. Like that's asking a little bit too much, but Isaac Asimov and millions of other optimistic people have said similar things for many, many years, and it's really hard to even begin to summon the positivity that it takes to predict a good future. It's really hard to even sit down and pick the pencil up and write one word about being positive about the future because human beings, as I've said so many times, continually shoot themselves in the foot. And then when shit hits the fan, they blame all manner of different things. It's the government's fault. It's those immigrants' fault. It's the fault of the war. It's the fault of economic folly. It's the fault of the weather. It's the fault of God because gay people are getting married. It could be that stupid even, you know? But there's always somebody or something to blame. It's never, it's never us because we're individuals now, apparently. I didn't get the memo. I must have slept through it. But we're all individuals, and you know, it is better to be individualistic and nationalistic in times of crisis than it is to reach out for support. I guess I must have missed that too because that seems to be the way the world is going. This idea that being an individual is the absolute way to go and the absolute way to get things done. It may make you feel more noble that you worked your fingers to the bone to be able to afford a one-bedroom apartment in the middle of a rough neighborhood. And that's like, or maybe you got yourself one of them subdivision houses. Maybe you got yourself a house in a subdivision. And it's like, I worked really hard for this. Nobody helped me. I didn't get any hands out. I'm okay. I'm okay. The planet is not okay. At least the people on the planet outside of the bubble that you create for yourself. And as we all take this time that our corporate overlords graciously bestow upon us to rest and relax so that we may gather our strength to go and make them even richer, I hope we all take the time to think about maybe trying to see the virtue in being more collective. I'm not talking about being communists, although, I mean, you really want to sit there and tell me with a straight face, with all the poverty in this world and the fact that so few people own so much of the world's wealth, that capitalism has worked? It's a debate we can have, but it's not a debate that you're going to win because it's patently absurd that capitalism has brought about. I was talking about how capitalism breeds innovation and all this. That yearning for innovation would still be there even if there weren't a profit motive. It's just the profit motive has been beaten into our brains since we were little babies, and that's how we survive. That's how we make money so that we may afford our own little apartment or our big house, so that we may have our own little plot of land, so that we may hang our little shingle. That's how we operate, is that we have to be thinking of that paycheck. How many great ideas in this world do you think have been stifled because there just wasn't enough funding, or because this person was poor and couldn't get out of the projects? How many cures for so many horrible fucking diseases do you think have resided in the heads of people who just didn't have enough money to be heard, who just didn't have the right skin color to be heard, because we're all turning into fucking tribes in these little exclusive groups that we don't want anybody else in, because we're going to figure this out all on our own. No, we're not. We're not going to figure any of this shit out on our own. Climate change, especially once climate migration begins getting really, really bad, let's see how far individualism gets you there. That's just one small example, but I want to get back to the idea of individualism and it somehow being incompatible or completely mutually exclusive with the idea of having your own identity and your own grind. If that if that mentality suits you and you want no help from no one, or you just want as little help as possible, and you want to, bootstrap your way through your life, no one's saying that you can't do that. If this fantasy world where everybody cooperated, existed, that I'm postulating here, nobody's saying that you can't still be individualistic. No one's saying that you can't be self-sufficient. But on a planet of 8 billion people and counting, with so much climate catastrophe looming, with nuclear war seemingly always a threat, with disease, malnutrition, poverty, and like 1 in 4 kids in the US are under the poverty line. It might be 1 in 3. No. Well, whatever. There shouldn't be that many kids that poor in a world where so many people have so much fucking money that they're never going to be able to spend. Even if they live to be 111,000 years old, they're still going to have some money in their fucking pockets. And the mere mention of having them cough some of that money up in some places on this planet is just tantamount to insulting one's mother. At least that's how they react. Take money from someone and give it to someone else? Yeah! That would be fucking great. But it doesn't appear that it's going to happen in my lifetime. The widespread removal of the wealth of the super rich who do not fucking need it, and the seizure of the assets of the really evil rich, super rich people, and that money being turned over to communities and over to housing programs for the poor and the homeless and the disadvantaged, and all sorts of things you could do with all that money to give people better lives. No. God does not rule you. I don't care how devout you are. I don't care how much you pray. I don't care how much you clutch your rosary or, your real ruler, as George Carlin said, and he was on the nose about it in 2001 or whenever, just like he was on the nose about so many other things. You have a system, a very not so complex system of rich people who own you. And in that sense, individualism is absolutely a good idea, so that you can create your own world separate from theirs, so you don't have to worry about their money or their shitty labor practices or their dumbass opinions that people only care about because they're rich. I'm looking at you, Elon Musk, you fucking piece of miserable. Oh God, I hate him. Oh, I don't want to start ranting here. Have I already been ranting? But even if you stay in this individualist mindset and you create this little world for yourself where you don't have to think about the billionaires, you still lose because they have us so tightly in their grip. So even if you do start growing your own food and hunting your own food and doing whatever, um, doing everything for yourself, by yourself, for yourself, you still have to contend with the world around you. Politics and business and marketing and all of that stuff does not go away just because you want to be all on your own. Just because you don't want to hold hands with another human being and tell them that you are just as deserving of a good, healthy life as I am, even though you are about $10 million poorer than me. That is just too painful for some people. And as long as this mentality of individualism, of whoever can build the highest border fence wins, as long as this even the notion of borders to me is fucking absurd. But whatever, these are things that I can't change. And they're things that you, Mr. or Ms. Individualist, also cannot change. I'm getting a little bit tired. My words are not coming out as clearly as they could. So if you're still with me, if you're still watching this video, maybe while you've got this brief respite from your working life or your school life or whatever life is grinding you, getting you down, take care of yourself, but also maybe you could try in whatever way, whether it's donating money, whether it's actually taking the time to try to understand a trans person and why they are the way that they are through no fault of their own. Taking the time to listen to a poor person, to speak to your mentally ill grandmother who really misses you and you haven't talked to in 10 years. Just making connections with other human beings so that maybe, just maybe, a little bit of empathy might well up inside of you and spew out onto somebody else. That's the kind of spew that I want all over me. The empathetic spew. But that's just me, an idealist. A ridiculous idealist, because none of these things I want are ever going to come true. And it's like they say, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. You know, like I cringe every time I use Amazon because I know for like there's something in the back of my mind that goes, you fucking sellout, you hypocrite, you pile of shit. You're using Amazon, you're using eBay, you're using, well, eBay isn't, but you know what I mean. Like these things that all of us leftists rail against all the time. And it's like, I couldn't fucking find this thing anywhere else. I looked and I looked and I looked and I could get it here, but the shipping would cost me 200 fucking euros or whatever it would convert to. So that is still very much in play, that there is no ethical consumption under this system that we all suffer under. And that's just the way it is. So the individualist can't change it. The person who wants people to be more collective, maybe a little bit more collaborative, can't change it. The only people that can change it are the ones who got all the goddamn money. Because somehow over the course of human history, we decided that we want people ruling us who are elite. We want people ruling us who have a lot of money, who they don't even necessarily have to know a fucking thing about government. We'll elect them anyway. Because that's just who we are. And I have accepted humans, myself included, for what we are. A self-defeating species. And you can call that hopeless, you can call that whatever you will. I really, I can't stress it enough. I really don't care. I don't, because I've spent my entire life worrying about what people are going to think about this opinion, think about that opinion. And it's like, I just want people to be okay. I just want everybody to be able to eat. I want everybody to have a fucking roof over their heads. I want everybody to have water. I want everybody to have the luxury items like cell phones and computers and internet. Yes, there are people on this fucking planet who think that the internet is a luxury item in 2022. These are the demons who have all the money. The people who make all the decisions are the ones who say stupid things like that. Who say that, oh, you're so poor and you're on your iPhone. Oh my God. Yeah, imagine that. Some people work 60 hours a week and they get themselves a little luxury so they can pretend like they're living in a little bit of luxury like the people they're making richer. You know, to pretend like they have some sort of say in their lives. Making the choice to buy this little fucking electronic is sometimes the only control that we have. And that's where consumerism comes from. And that's where so many other really bad human things come from. And it's the way it is. And when I complain about human beings shooting themselves in the foot, that also comes with the implicit understanding that it's not all our fault. It's not entirely our fault. A lot of us have been misled. A lot of us have been led astray. A lot of us were born under really oppressive governments who don't give a fuck, governments who cater to the rich and oligarchs, plutocracies, whatever. We've all been dealt different circumstances in different hands. But what remains is that the majority of us are not super rich. The majority of us, I live in Europe now, but at least in America, a lot of people do not have health coverage, and in many places around the world. We're all, if we're not in, as Carlin described, the big club, we are all down here together, and all of us are just, I don't know, depending on how loaded you are, 1 to 10 paychecks away from being broke and going tits up and belly up. And we have seen time and time again what trying to bootstrap your way out of a shitty situation collectively, like as an entire nation of people who are really nationalist and really border loving. We've seen the folly of it, but we continue to fall into the same traps in the year 2022. I hope 2023 can be a year where we decide to throw off some of these shackles of not necessarily independence, but of individualism. I really do. I don't count on it happening, but, you know, I'm getting really worried with the amount of individualistic rhetoric I'm seeing on the internet, hearing from people's mouths, that, you know, who cares about them because we've got so many problems. Well, you're a fucking human being just like them. That's why. You know, your problems do not end where your border ends, you know. Anyway, that's all I got, other than try to be nice to some people, try to be well, try to take this time to reflect on things, and try to reflect on them in a way that leaves some room for other people, and not just yourself, and not just your own family, but maybe some other people. That's my end of year message, or whatever. Probably wasn't quite as cheery as it could have been. This year has been really rough for me, but I feel like mentally speaking, I'm on an upward trend, and I haven't been able to say that in so long, and I'm very thankful for Finland and the Finnish government, the Finnish government, yes, because they're the ones, I guess, who started the healthcare system. I told you I'm tired. For helping me achieve for helping me get to a place that I never thought I'd ever be able to get to mentally. To get to a place where I can actually say that I feel, most days I feel happy. I wouldn't have gotten that if I stayed in the United States, and it means a lot to me. But there's still a lot of stuff you can be doing better, Finland, but whatever. For another video, maybe, another time. I guess in times like these, there's nothing else to say, but have a good day, folks. Oh, and Happy New Year.